welcome to the 1982 Saab Spray Farm Classic. It's the 5th time the Classic has been held, and it's the richest cross-country teams event in the world. This year it's worth 10,000 Australian dollars in prize money, $4,500 to the winning team, 3,000 to the team coming second, 1,250 to the team taking third placing. Also, there are prizes for the fastest individual male and female competitors around the course. Spray Farm is an historic homestead on 70 hectares of beautiful rural country at Port Arlington, 20 kilometres southeast of Geelong, overlooking Corio Bay. And about 40 kilometres across Corio Bay is the city of Melbourne. The course is a novice standard cross-country course of about 2 kilometres, with 22 fences of maximum height 3 foot 3 inches and some higher alternatives. Each team consists of 3 riders, and the times of the 3 are averaged to produce the overall team time. So welcome to the 1982 Saab Spray Farm Classic. Now the first team to take to this demanding 2 kilometre course, 22 fences, is the Marcus Oldham Bundy squad, made up of Little Man, written by Jeff Shand, Billy the Kid, Mike Chambers, and Construction, written by Margaret Lawrence.
Well, it appears that the first 3 riders are over the first 2 obstacles. This is going to be interesting now because the course has changed from last year, and now they approach the 3rd obstacle, which is the Normandy Bank, and the horse is already having a look at that one. Thank you. First 2 are over the Normandy Bank, through the flags now, so we have in front in the blue is Billy the Kid with Mike Chambers. Now Mike Chambers has to swing hard now to come over the picnic table. Horse is having a look at this. It's always difficult to be the first team on the course, and the 3 are over there. There's a fall there.
That picnic table is beautifully decorated by Trent Nathan with models and set out just as a picnic table.
Well, Margaret Lawrence had a spill there over the picnic table. That's Margaret Lawrence just getting back on Billy the Kid. Jeff Shand has some problems there on Little Man at the water tank.
They have elected to bypass the fence after that refusal and ride on, which is a very wise decision. A second attempt at the fence might incur another refusal, and they've decided to ride on and avoid any more time penalties.
Well, Billy the Kid and Little Man are now striding on for the next obstacle, which is the box parallel. Over that one is Mike Chambers, followed closely by Jeff Shand on Little Man. We can't pick up the 3rd rider at the moment, Margaret Lawrence, who fell back at obstacle 4. Both Mike Chambers, Billy the Kid and Little Man are clear at the apex. Well, here we see the problem now of the first team trying to find their way through the noughts and crosses. It really is a complicated matter. We'll have to see a couple of these teams go through this obstacle before we can really define the best way to take it.
There's Margaret Lawrence on Construction and negotiating that jump.
Now the first 2 riders are into the jump into space. In the red in front is Jeff Shand on Little Man, followed by Billy the Kid with Mike Chambers. You can see how deep the water is there now.
Yes, by this afternoon the tide will be in even further and the horses will be in water up to their chests.
Well, this is a test now for both these riders and horses. It's a very steep climb as they come round to go up the hill, which looks like a very small obstacle.
In fact, much more difficult than it appears. It has a drop on the landing side, which the horses do not anticipate, and so the fence cannot be jumped with too much pace.
Now they've safely got over that one and the next one, and they make their way now to a straight fence that has a ditch in front of it.
We've had 2 run-offs at that fence, and they have both decided to bypass the hunting panel and proceed on to the hanging log.
Under the rules of this competition, Rosemary, that's another 15 seconds per horse, so
yes,
this team so far. Well, Margaret Lawrence now has cleared the jump into space, and she'll go down into the Corio Bay, past the flags and come back onto the course. We pick up the two front riders, a refusal there from Mike Chambers on Billy the Kid, and again a bypass by Jeff Shand on Little Man, incurring 15 seconds each time they bypass a fence.
And also 5 seconds for the refusal at the fence.
Yes, Rosemary. You'll see how tired this horse is now as it's uphill all the way home. Now through the cross rails. And a testing time now for Jeff Shand. Uphill over that one very nicely. Followed by Mike Chambers on Billy the Kid.
They're doing a good job, these two riders. Randall, they're young riders from the Marcus Oldham College. And certainly, I would say, not used to competing in this type of competition.
No, I'm just looking at their background, Rosemary. They're all teenagers. Jeff Shand is from New South Wales and has been competing in
We have
pony
a
club
fall
events
at
for
the
6
water.
years.
Both the horse and rider are okay.
Who was that
Mike
put down,
Chambers
Rosemary?
off Billy the Kid coming off.
Right. Now out in front is Jeff Shand on Little Man. One more obstacle for him to clear. It's number 22 and he's safely home. Not over yet until he passes the finishing flags. That's Jeff Shand safely home on Little Man. Now Mike Chambers on Billy the Kid had a fall there just before the second last obstacle. And now we pick up Margaret Lawrence on Construction. She now has the water jump, which is a very testing jump for her at this time, having had some problems on the course and already one fall. Clears the log very nicely. Now she's got a smile on her face. Margaret Lawrence now, she decides to bypass the water jump. Incurs another 15 seconds. She has the second last obstacle to clear now. She looks a tired girl over that one. Over the hay bales, and she's safely home.
Actually, this horse looks reasonably fit still, Peter. He's, or Randall, I'm sorry, he's still going
A nice type of
fairly
horse too.
freely.
Well, she's safely home. So that's the completed round of the Marcus Oldham Bundy squad.
Upon completion of the course, the horses are all vetted and the riders weighed to be sure the riders all carry 75 kilos, and teams will be eliminated if the riders fail to meet the weight upon weighing at completion of the course. Similarly, the horses are all vetted. Upon return, their heart rate is checked, and the horses then must report back to the vets within 30 minutes to be rechecked for their heart rate.
And Team 1, the Marcus Oldham Bundy squad, finishing with a team average time of 6 minutes 8.72 seconds. Second team to tackle the course, 3 for Luck, made up of Moon Cloud, ridden by Carol Dunn in red, Riley, Peter Taylor in white, and Rumpus, Glenn Bishop, is in blue.
Well, this is a very interesting team, this one, Tim. Out in front, you saw a bold jump there by Carol Dunn. She's a successful competitor here at Spray Farm.
Yes, Carol competed last year in a team on this horse. She's elected to go up over the bank and down.
She carried that one very well. She's a very bold rider. Just reading on her background here, she first rode in a race as a lady jockey in 1963, so that's nearly 20 years ago. But I believe she's only in her late 30s. It's a very bold horse, that grey horse. You'll have to settle down, as there are some problems in front of her this year. The course has changed considerably. We won't be getting the same fast times, mainly due to the obstacle number 3, the bank, and of course the noughts and crosses further on in the course. Now we'll see how Carol approaches the drums up and over that one. It's about a 6-foot spread to the drums. It's a good inviting fence for a horse, and these 3 are going along very boldly. They come now down to the in and out under the pine trees.
Very close to those 2 fences,
Yes.
Randall.
I think the horse is still pretty keen, Rosemary, and pulling quite a bit. And
Yes, he certainly looks fit. He won't be pulling quite so hard towards the end of the course, I don't think.
so. Now we'll wait to pick up Carol now as she comes up to the apex. Let's see what she decides to do here.
This fence has an interesting alternative. The quickest
I think that's the quickest way
direction
through.
over is jumping the left-hand side, which is bigger and a little bit more difficult.
Now we're very interesting to watch what's going to happen at the noughts and crosses. The first team were in utter confusion here.
We have Peter Taylor and Riley here.
That's
Goes
the way to do
directly
it.
through the fence. The large alternative, taken by Glenn Bishop and Rumpus.
Well, they're going quite well at the moment. You see he's hanging on to Riley there as he jumps into space down the hill. Peter Taylor on
quite a wide
Glenn
turn
Bishop.
by Carroll on Mooncloud there. The tighter the turn through the water, through the compulsory flags, obviously is going to save a lot of time.
Now we have Carroll now facing up to go uphill to these two difficult jumps. You can see the horse there really trying to bog in there to get some traction on the ground. She's over both of those. Waiting for Peter Taylor on the Hustler. See how the Hustler slowed down. And they're all clear again so far. So there's been no bypassing of fences or refusals from this team. Mooncloud is still striding out in front as he comes up to jump the straight log fence amongst the pine trees.
Riley safely over, and also Rumpus.
And the gap between Mooncloud and the other two horses is increasing as the race continues. Just a straight set of pine logs there. You have to swing around and go through the drop rails over that one. Now it's uphill to a nice big bold fence, which is very inviting for this type of horse. And he dipped there a little bit, took off a little bit too early.
Time taken to reach that fence at this stage is 3 minutes 30.6 seconds, so this team is making quite good time.
They come up to the obstacle which is feared by many of the competitors, the water jump, and Mooncloud cleared that in great style. What a great display here by Carroll Dunn. And the second rider and the third rider. Great leap there by Riley over the water jump. Spectacular leap. Second last obstacle.
Carroll coming up to the finish now.
A great ride by that lady rider.
Excellent ride. Be interesting to see how Carroll goes for the fastest lady round of the day after that run.
I think it'll take a pretty dashing display, Rosemary, to...
Yes, I would think so.
Now, all three riders, I would say, completed that course without any penalty times. It's 5 seconds for each refusal and 15 seconds for a bypass.
And Team 2, 3 for luck, recording a very good average time, 4 minutes 25.07 seconds. That puts them in front at the moment, but of course plenty of teams to tackle the course yet. Team 3 is Hopeless the third. Reich, Neville Mitchell in red, Ramus, Chris Pearce in white, Astor, Stephen Muldoon in blue, Hopeless the third, and no doubt the three riders hoping they're not remembered as the Hopeless Three.
Yes, Tim, this team have competed for 3 years, and out in front is Neville Mitchell, who's ridden this course on 3 occasions. Today he has 2 new riders with him, Chris Pearce and Stephen Muldoon, both of the Oaklands Hunt Club. Chris Pearce, a very experienced show jump rider, and Stephen Muldoon is a very promising rider for the future.
Stephen was very successful at the Royal Melbourne Show last year, winning the boy riding competition 14 and under 16.
Now, Neville Mitchell is approaching the picnic table where they have to swing right. Chris Pearce is right behind him, and so too is Stephen Muldoon. So we'll wait on Neville Mitchell. He clears the picnic table. So too does Chris Pearce and young Stephen Muldoon on Astra, the little dun mare. So far this team look like they're well under control as they approach the big obstacle number 5. They're all clear there as they make their way down the hill now. They swing into the double, obstacle number 6. Neville Mitchell in red on Reich, clears that one. Chris Pearce on Ramus in white, and Stephen Muldoon on Astra, both all riders clear at obstacle 6. They come out now into the opening and face the box parallel. Reich had a bit of a look at that one, Rosemary.
Yes, he certainly did. It's quite a big fence. This little horse of Stevens is jumping exceptionally well, Ron.
Oh, he's a great little horse.
He stands only 14 3 hands. He's certainly got plenty of heart.
The interesting point here will be to watch the way they handle the Northern crossings. Stephen Mitchell. There's plenty of time, just pops in and out.
This fence certainly requires a lot of control. Very nicely bounced through there by Stephen.
So far, this team are in no trouble whatsoever. Jump into space, downhill, and they make their way out into Cryo Bay, where they have to go right out into the water, come inside the flags. Now we'll see now at the time, just approaching 11:30, that by the time they get to the flags, the water's almost up to the chests of the horses, and we would think by mid-afternoon, when the final teams are going, with the tide coming in, that could create quite some problems.
Yes, I took particular notice yesterday, Randall, at about 1 o'clock. The tide was fairly high.
Now the testing part of the course, Rosemary, uphill here, it's very tiring on the horses. Three of them very close together. This could be dangerous. If one has a look, the other one will run into the rider in front of him, but this team is showing what it's all about. They're well spaced again.
Yes, this is something that really has to be watched, Randall, as approaching the small crossbars under the trees. Bunching up of riders here last year caused quite a lot of falls.
Well, now the hunting panel at 13 is now cleared by all three riders. They're over number 15, the log and rail. They swing around to jump number 16, the log pile into the trees.
And this is where they have to space out, because it's dark underneath these trees, and this crossbar is a small fence, very narrow, and if they bunch up too much, the horses don't see it. As you could see then, Stephen was close, and his horse jumped a little more quickly through that fence.
Now Neville Mitchell is really showing the way here in this team as they swing around, only with a few obstacles left to go.
They were, in fact, at the Lamb Creep at 3 minutes 41.8 seconds, so not quite as fast a time with this team as with 3 for Luck.
Clear at the water jump is Reich, so too is Chris Pearce on Ramus. And there's that great little dun Astra with Stephen Muldoon on board. Jump 21.
Be very close this, Randall, because this team is closer together. The previous team, although at that Lamb Creep at a faster time, was more spaced out than this team.
Yes.
I think this is an excellent round.
That's a very good round indeed. Certainly for style and the pace that those three riders went at, certainly shows the rest of the teams how to go about it.
Hopeless the third, now leading the event by just under 3 seconds, a good time of 4 minutes 22.44, just edging out 3 for Luck, who recorded 4:25.07. Team 4, the Kamikaze Cop-Outs. Newton Circle is ridden by Kerry Burton in red, Shotgun Eric Ferguson in white, and Bold Luke, the rider, Lawrence Cruz in blue.
Well, this team is away now, out in front in white. We'll pick up that rider now. Is Bold Luke. All three riders are clear at obstacle 1. They come down the hill over obstacle 2, and there's plenty of pace on early in this round by the Kamikaze Cop-Outs. Let's see their approach on the Normanby Bank.
Shotgun is up over the top and down. This is certainly the quickest way over the fence, Randall.
I think so.
Straight up and over.
We've certainly got problems here with the third horse of this combination, which is Lawrence Cruz. There's a race going on here between the red and white, which is Kerry Burton on Newton Circle.
Yes, there's something that should be remembered in teams racing. It is cooperation within the team, and sometimes in the excitement of the event and the running, riders tend to forget this, and they crowd each other and even run each other off the fences.
We'll see quite a good approach here from the cameras as they approach the tanks. Shotgun is going quite well, Rosemary.
Yes, he is. Very bold horse.
So Shotgun and Newton Circle are clear at obstacle 6.
He's a nice type of horse, this front horse, Randall, very bold. He's got his ears up looking at the fence. Both horses nicely over the big box parallel. This horse is a bit sticky at his fences. He's having a look at them and jumping up in the air over his fences.
I think you'll often find with a horse like that as as he gets another 2 or 3 obstacles under his belt, he'll start to stride out with a little bit more confidence. Now under the Nordson Cross, and that was beautifully taken by
Interesting,
by
Randall.
Shotgun.
Last year in this course, not one rider elected to go over the bounce on the outside as this team is doing. They all went through the centre. The addition of a rail to the inside of the crossbars this year has certainly altered the rider's decision as to how to approach this fence.
Well, that's placing a lot of extra stress on that horse. Shotgun, having going wide on the flags there through the water. You can see the way the horse had to use a lot of excessive energy there to come back onto the course. Shotgun over that one, followed closely by Newton Circle. We've lost the 3rd rider at this stage.
Riding together, very closely together, these horses. Randall will have to space themselves out a little bit to give themselves.
Well, Shotgun has slowed down a little bit, but now he's up on the level ground. He clears the drop fence with plenty of style. Now the testing time. The hanging rail between the pine trees.
Shotgun safely over, and also Newton Circle. We go back to find Bold Luke. Bold Luke's looking a little bit weary. He's coming now up to the hanging rail. He's quite a good distance behind these other 2 horses.
So over that one safely. We'll pick up the front horse, Shotgun. And Newton Circle still going along with
still very
plenty of
bold,
speed.
these 2.
Still very bold.
Very nice to see horses as fit as this.
Yes, the riders are putting a lot of preparation in now. Prize money of $4,500, Rosemary. I think it makes it worth their while to go into training.
Certainly a very nice first prize, isn't it? And
there's a miraculous recovery there by the rider on Shogun. He almost saved a fall.
Yes.
So that's very sad for Eric Ferguson to lose that valuable time. Newton Circle is finished full of running. Now Bold Luke has cleared the water jump. Obstacle 21. Second last obstacle of the course. Over that one. You can see
Ferguson obviously very disappointed.
Very disappointed indeed, Tim. He would have registered a very fast time. Of course, the team still has to finish. Waiting now for his horse to be brought back.
The mounted stewards on the course today are from the Oaklands Hunt Club, the gentlemen in the pink coats.
From here, Roseman, it looks like Ronald King.
It certainly does look like Ron King. This rider looks very, very tired. Randall?
Yes, he's a very disappointed rider, Rosemary. He
Yes.
was going at a great pace, and saw the disgust on his face when he nearly managed to save that fall. Well, he's safely home.
And Team 4, Kamikaze Cop-Outs, recording 5 minutes 38.81 seconds, a time which obviously would have been much better had it not been for that unfortunate accident for Eric Ferguson on Shotgun.
We're most grateful here for the 2nd year in a row to have the services of 10th Medium Field Regiment from the Royal Australian Artillery. 10th Medium Field have served the Geelong and Bellarine district now since the later part of the last century, and these young Army Reserve people who devote their time here, it really is marvellous for the Army and for their own training. You'll notice at each obstacle there is a gunner who relays by radio back to their base the penalties at each obstacle. You notice there are a number of young lady gunners serving now in the Army Reserve. Now they are the official recorders of all time faults at each obstacle.
Team 7, Riverina Ratbags, Ziggy, Corinne Morton in red, Simon, Daryl Morton in white, and Calibrate, ridden by Kayleen McKenzie in blue.
This is a team from Wagga in the Riverina. Marvellous to see a team coming all this way and preparing for this great event. Now very close over the hay bales, obstacle 1, spacing out a little bit there at the Tiger Trap on their way out onto the course.
Yes, this bank will space them out a little. I think they're electing to go down into the sunken road.
Ziggy has a look at that.
All through together.
They're clear so far. Out in front is Ziggy, followed by Simon and Calibrate. Let's hope, Rosemary, they just keep this position on the field and we can pick them up very easily as they go.
Yes.
So a fast turn by Ziggy over the picnic table, and all 3 riders clearing it. So Corinne Morton on Ziggy, out in front. Simon with Daryl Morton, her brother, and Calibrate with Kayleen McKenzie. These 3 young riders from the Riverina, Wagga, New South Wales.
All safely over the tanks and now approaching the stockade. The stockade can be approached from any direction. So if the horses are going a little too boldly, they can go past the trees and then come through from the water end,
so
which that rider would have been wiser to do, rather than doing a circle and coming back onto the fence.
Ziggy and Simon both clear of the box parallel, and so too is Calibrate. She was going too hard downhill, Rosemary, at the
That's right,
stockyards.
yes, she was going much too fast over the tanks, and then whoop, we've had a fall.
Well, they hit that one.
There is Kathleen McKenzie fallen at the zigzag.
Just got underneath that.
Yes,
that
got
obstacle.
too close to it. Now this is an interesting point. With a fence without a ground line, the horses have difficulty in judging the height of the fence.
Well, it's Simon now making his way down into Corio Bay. Right to the flags.
Good turn there, Randall.
Very good turn.
Saving their horses and saving time. Yes, the horse is obviously all right after that fall. He's going in the opposite direction as hard as he can go.
And now it's Simon who's taken the lead of this team with Ziggy.
Interesting point here, Randall. The chestnut horse, which is
Just breaking in, Rosemary, there's Kayleen McKenzie, who came off Calibrate, and obviously in not the best of shape at the moment. Let's hope she's okay.
Yes, let's hope she'll be.
Well, it's Simon striding out, coming up to the hanging rail in the pine trees, and they're clear.
This chestnut horse, Ziggy, appears to have a white marking on his hindquarters. Randall, I think probably he's got an Appaloosa marking on his hindquarters. Have you noticed this?
Yes, I have, as a matter of fact. Unless the 3rd rider of this team can recover and finish the course, it's unfortunate for the Riverina Ratbags. They'll be disqualified.
Yes, it is essential that all... Yes, she's all right. She's standing up. She looks a little bit groggy. I'd say probably rather severely winded.
And I wouldn't imagine she'd be all that keen to hop back on board.
Well, no, probably not, but it's surprising. These riders are pretty tough, and after quite heavy falls, they still are quite happy to hop on and ride and finish this course.
Well, the adrenaline's running, and they always feel like they want to get on and finish the job. Well, the other problem is she also realises how hard the ground is.
Right, so we have the first 2 riders, Corinne Morton and Daryl Morton, back through the finish. And we go back to Kayleen, who is receiving attention from the medical staff.
And Kayleen McKenzie obviously calling it a day, and it looks as if she's in pretty good hands. There's the horse, Calibrate. They took it down to her, but I think quite wisely she's decided she's had enough. The official time for Riverina Ratbags, 5 minutes 47.22 seconds. Now, obviously, that could have been much better had it not been for the disqualification of Kayleen McKenzie and Calibrate. And included in it was fastest individual time so far, Corinne Morton on Ziggy, 3 minutes 57 seconds. Now, Team 8 is the Mike Walsh team. Isolator Vern Polk is in red, Mr. Boo Andrew Harris in white, and Sing For Me Peter Atkins in blue. And appropriately enough, the Mike Walsh team setting off here at Spray Farm just after 12 noon.
Very good. Well, they've got off to a good start, Tim, because they've cleared both obstacles. They now approach the Normandy bank. Both horses had a look at that, but they've both cleared it. The third horse has refused, so he should get on with the job. He's lost his stirrup. Sing For Me, Peter Atkins, who lost a bit of time there.
Yes, and I think Peter Atkins has also failed to go through the compulsory turning flag, so he will be eliminated.
That's unfortunate for this team. They started off in great style. Vern Polk and Isolator is over the picnic table. Andrew Harris on Mr. Boo is out on the lead as he approaches the tanks, the 6-foot spread.
He's having quite a bit of trouble, this
Sing For Me, Peter
Atkins. Vern Polk has come over from Tasmania for this event. He's a very keen competitor and was in fact a member of the Tasvics, who were last year's winners.
Well, I suppose now, Rosemary, the only chance here for Vern is to try and ride the individual fastest time.
Yes, and also he has another ride later today in the team that which won last year. This year they are known as the Trent Nathan team. Last year they were the Tasvics.
Moving up in the world.
Moving up in the world.
Mr. Boo here obviously carries his name, Rosemary. There's no spook in him at any of these obstacles.
No spook in him at all.
Nice big, almost a liver chestnut. Andrew Harris on Mr. Boo trots out to Corio Bay. Appears to be getting deeper.
Yes, quite a good turn there, tight turn, and they're proceeding back to the gate and then through and the jump on the hill.
Well, this is 11 and 12, which are very steep inclines indeed and take a lot out of a horse.
Yes, this is not a big fence, but it is quite difficult because of that drop. There's a track on the other side of it. The horses are expecting to be continuing the slope of the hill, and in fact they drop down, and this is a fence that cannot be taken with too much speed.
Mr. Boo goes straight over the hunting panel, doesn't even look at the ditch in front. There's a 3-foot wide and about a 2-foot deep ditch in front of that panel.
Now proceeding on up to the hanging rail.
We've lost completely at this stage the third rider, Sing For Me, Peter Atkins. I don't know whether he's still completing the course at this stage.
Still looking.
Mr. Boo is showing the way. He's a very good time.
Let's see what his time is at the Lamb Creek. Three minutes 29 seconds, so he's certainly pretty close to the fastest time, which was 3 minutes 23. A little bit more pace. Now he could well be in for the fastest round of the day.
He wants a good big jump here, Rosemary, at the water jump. Approach is good. And he'll clear that nicely.
Yes, jumped it very nicely. Very, very attractive horse, this chestnut horse. Going back now to Vern Polk on Isolator. He too is clear over the water. And we look now at Mr. Boo coming through over the last fence, which he has jumped safely, and now racing up to the finish line.
That was a good round, Rosemary.
That was an excellent round.
Horse that goes very kindly indeed.
Interesting now to see the time for that rider, because he could well be a contender for the fastest round. And we pick up again Whoops, we've had a fall. He took a long while to think about falling then, but eventually he went.
If he can quickly grab his mount and get back on.
And hop back on, he'll be able to finish the course.
I'll be looking forward to the time of Mr. Boo, Rosemary. I feel that he could be well in it. For the fastest individual round, that is.
Peter Atkins on Sing for Me, having a fairly torrid time of it. Just 2 jumps to go now to complete the course.
Safely over the tiger trap and now approaching the Blackiston's hay bales, and he's safely over there and up to the finish now.
I think he'd be glad to be home after that
I
round.
think he was very pleased to be home.
And the Mike Walsh team finishing with the team average time of 4 minutes 57.67 seconds. So about 35 seconds off the pace. Team number 9 is Charlie's Angels. Away they go. Waratah, rider Sue Reed. Crackle, ridden by Charlie Moffat in white. Sue Reed is in red. And Par Chance Debbie Palmer in blue.
Well, we picked them up clearing the first obstacle. All 3 riders are over number 1, the hay bales. Over 2, the tiger trap as the first 2 competitors, and Debbie Palmer as Par Chance is clear at that one.
Quite an experienced and well-performed team, these 3. Charlie Moffat is a show jumping instructor, very competent horseman. Sue Reed and Debbie Palmer have both ridden in this event before.
So it's Charlie Moffat out in front on Crackle. Is that Crackle there on the white?
Yes, that's Crackle. Crackle is a lovely little mare. She's only about 15.3 and she's been show jumped by junior riders for several years and now showing her ability going cross country.
All 3 competitors now have cleared the picnic table and they make their way down to the big spread fence, the 6 foot wide spread.
Waratah had a good look at that before jumping it. 3 are all safely over that fence and now riding on to the stockade, which is not a big fence. Safely in and safely out.
Now we pick up Waratah, making his way to the box parallel. Very bold jump there.
Crackle is tending to show jump these fences a little bit, Randall, which is something we would expect from her, having done many years of show jumping. Waratah nearly fell at that fence, got in too close and clipped the top. 3 riders safely over.
It was a nice exhibition there of Waratah through the noughts and crosses. Right?
Yes, the 3 of them all very nice, bounced through on the outside rails. There is no room in there for a stride. It is just land and jump again.
The round so far by Waratah with Sue Reed is really worth watching.
Yes, it's lovely. She's going very well. A little bit wide there in the water. You can see these horses are having to work pretty hard in that water now.
I was particularly impressed with the way he approached the noughts and crosses. His ears were pricked forward, his mind was on the job. There was no doubt at all that he knew exactly what he was going to do.
Well, he certainly does, Randall, because he's been around here before and he says, right, we're up here and we're over the tyres now.
Starting to tire a little bit, but
yes,
we'll see how he should pick up as he gets back onto the flat.
This is one point of interest, Randall. The thoroughbred horses around this course certainly have an advantage. The crossbred horses seem to have plenty in hand until they get about halfway around the course and then they start to tire.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. There's quite a spacing between Waratah and Charlie Moffat on Crackle. Waratah over the hanging round the pine trees to the drop logs. Now we'll lose Waratah. He'll jump obstacle 16, the log pile into the trees and come out through the crossbars. We have to have a good look here as the box thorn's in the way and could cause some horses to shy, but not this little one. He's
and
a
we'll
great
see his
horse.
time. He's going very, very well, Randall. He's at the Lamb Creep at 3 minutes 22, which at this stage
There's
puts
a fall
him in
back
front,
there,
and there's a fall.
Charlie Moffat's fallen.
Charlie Moffat coming off Crackle, but Waratah, Sue Reed really going strongly and a chance to take individual honours at this stage.
See Waratah now slowing down a bit, but he's a very
Oops,
game horse.
no,
Put in
he's
the wrong
fallen
one
at the
there.
water.
She didn't have him right that time.
There goes
Everything's gone
Crackle.
wrong at once.
Yes, there goes Crackle. She's heading up to the finish line by herself without Charlie, and Waratah is not looking quite as white as he was when he started.
The two competitors, they're back onto the job. It's riches to rags in about 30 seconds here for this team,
Certainly
unfortunately.
is. She was looking as if she was well in line for the fastest round to date, and certainly has accumulated a few seconds there with both the penalty for the fall and the time taken to recover and remount. Good round by Sue.
That was an excellent round of confidence in both horse and rider.
And there's Debbie Palmer on par chance, finishing not very far behind her. Now, what is Charlie going to do? Is he going to remount and finish the course, or will he call it quits? Looks as if he's going to
I think he'll go on,
complete the
Rosemary.
course. Yes, neither he nor the horse seem to be hurt in any way.
It's this sort
Yes, he's riding back.
of great sort of esprit de corps amongst all equestrian activities of completing a course, regardless of whether the fact that you have no chance at all of being in the prize money.
Particularly, I think, Randall, this course at Spray Farm, it's a demanding course, and I know the riders love to get around and complete the course. She's a very pretty mare,
She's a
Randall,
lovely big
very
mare.
elegant type of horse.
Jumps the log rail very nicely. Now, let's see what sort of a job they make of the water jump. She's having a look at that. The stride's right, and a lovely jump.
Beautiful jump over that fence.
I can see why Charlie was upset coming off at the cross rails, because the horse was going very well indeed, and he was quite confident that he was going to finish on a very good time. There's plenty of life left in this mare, thoroughbred mare, of course, and the way she jumped the last 3 or 4 obstacles, so there's no doubt
Yes,
there's
she's very
plenty
fit.
of quality there.
Very fit. So Charlie passes through the finish flags.
They'll talk about that over a few drinks for the next couple of weeks, of what may have happened if Charlie hadn't have come to
hadn't
drift at
fallen
the
off.
cross rails.
Yes.
And the time for Charlie's Angels, affected as it was by Charlie Moffat's fall from Crackle, 5 minutes 9.73 seconds. Charlie's Angels, Team 9. Team 10 coming up, the Crumpet Hunters, with Graphic Traffic, Steve Smithett in red, Serene Lady, Eric Ferguson in white, the Hustler, Carol Dunn in blue. So the Crumpet Hunters, not an all-male team, as its name might imply to some.
Yes, Tim. Well, we see Caroline Dunn having her second ride of the day. She rode an excellent round early in the piece on Mooncloud, which was a very bold grey horse. This team has quite a bit of experience. Most of these competitors have ridden here before. They're away. Graphic Traffic is the grey. Steve Smithett. Carol Lunn is on the Hustler in blue, and Serene Lady is carrying the white colours. Steve Smithett showing the way so far. A good bold approach to Normanby Bank, but no refusal there.
Yes, the horse has ducked off the fence, and Carol is up over the fence.
She elected to go into the ditch. So Steve Smithett is riding on, trying to pick up those valuable 15 seconds that he was penalised by passing the Normanby Bank.
Rather an unwilling turn there to Randall onto that fence. The horse is wanting to continue on down the hill. 3 horses safely over the picnic table and on their way down to the big Saab tanks. Graphic Traffic safely over.
He's having a bit of a look at them, Rosemary.
And the hustler over, and we heard Carol yell at her horse then, giving him a little bit of vocal encouragement.
Sometimes it works. Now there's a... She's not happy with the way he's going, so she's working on him to get a bit more response. He's not listening to her, so vocal encouragement. There we see Graphic Traffic having a look at the box rail.
Yes, he got right in under that fence, as did the hustler.
And it was jumped a lot better by the third horse there, Serene
Serene
Lady.
Lady, yes, she's starting to jump a bit better now. She's elected to go through the apex.
Steve Smith is still trying to pick up time there, Rosemary.
Yes, he's got a few seconds to pick up, and he's very nicely through that bounce on the edge of the noughts and crosses fence.
I feel they're starting to go with a little bit more confidence together, this combination.
Safely over the interspace jump.
Just to see how they negotiate the water now.
Approaching a little bit too quickly, I think. Oh no, it's quite a good turn, but
should take a bit of the sting out of him, I think, cantering into the water that way.
Yeah.
Very strongly built horse, Graphic Traffic. As we've said previously, you'll notice that the horses slow down considerably after they negotiate the 2 uphill fences.
Yes, with the water just before them, that takes a little bit out of them. Then that strong, steep uphill climb and over 2 fences, it's certainly a bit of a test.
Let's see if he has a look at the ditch in front of the hunting
Certainly
panel.
did. This fence, if it is bowled into at a good pace, the horses don't even see the ditch until they are in the air. But if it's back to the other 2 now, if the fence is approached too slowly, the horses see the ditch and may well stop at the fence. Carroll's over the log and rails now and approaching the logs and the little crossbars under the trees. This horse is starting to look a little bit
A little tired, do you think,
tired. Yes, this is in fact Graphic Traffic.
It's amazing the number of riders and horses that come to grief at that particular obstacle, the cross rails.
And he's at the Lamb Creek in 3 minutes and 17 seconds, so at this stage he is the fastest horse to the Lamb Creek. We'll see what happens to the water. In many cases we've had good times as far as the Lamb Creek, but then unfortunately the horses have had a fall at the water.
Well, he wants a great jump here at the water jump. Having a look at it. There it is, and it's
Beautiful
clear.
jump. Horses who have ridden this course before, Randall, know that the water's on the other side of that fence, and you can see them waiting for it and having a look.
Well, Graphic Traffic is going to finish full of running. Must be something happening back on the course, Rosemary, with all the clapping and cheering.
Right, we've got Eric Ferguson on Serene Lady looking a little bit shaky. He's lost his stirrup, but he's still going on up to the last fence, the Blackiston's hay bales, and safely over and onto the finish line. Looks as if something has occurred there. He must have had rather a shaky jump at the water jump, but he didn't in fact fall off. The bridle is hanging from one ear and everything's looking a little bit disorganized, but he's managed to stay on and complete the course without a fall.
You see the smile on Eric's face. You may recall earlier in the event on his first ride, Eric Ferguson almost saved a certain fall as he went over the offside shoulder of his mount and finally landed on the ground. So on the second round he came to grief again, almost at the same
place.
place.
A little better this time. He's managed to stay in the saddle.
The Crumpet Hunters recording a team time of 4 minutes 36.08, and Steve Smithett failing by about 11 seconds to become the fastest individual so far, and he was cost 20 seconds by a refusal and a bypass very early on, as you'll remember, and those 20 seconds cost him dearly. He would have been sub 4 minutes had it not been for that mishap. And Barry Roycroft is in red on Slope Hollow. Peter Young in white riding Metal Detector, and John Daffy in blue on board Jacko.
Well, this is a very good team indeed. Barry Roycroft, a well-known equestrian, has represented Australia on 3 occasions. John Daffy and Peter Young, 3 really top-line cross-country equestrian riders. Now, if ever a team could work together and pull out this event, this team certainly has the credentials. Barry Roycroft, a great man under pressure. He's leading the way on Slope Hollow. It's a very bold chestnut horse. Let's see his approach at the bay horse, as you were. He's decided to jump into the ditch and out. So too of his teammates. It's John Daffy bringing up the rear on Jacko.
Jacko, incidentally, is an A-grade show jumper, so he's well accustomed to seeing plenty of colour on his fences, but not used to bowling along in between fences as required in this event.
This is probably why he's taken the number 3 position and changed around in the program, Rosemary.
Yes.
The horse out in front with Barry Roycroft, Slope Hollow, is a typical Roycroft type of horse, selected for its very athletic physique. And I doubt very much if Barry Roycroft will lose that front position.
No, I doubt it very, very much. I think the format of this team is usually to ride at about 4 or 5 lengths apart and to really bowl along in good time.
Give him a very good look at the box parallel. A big jump there by Peter Young on metal detector. But notice he's checked back to give Barry the lead.
3 thoroughbred horses here, so they should have plenty in reserve as they're coming back up the hill. Approaching the noughts and crosses, they have elected to go to the outside and bounce through.
And Barry had some problems approaching the noughts and crosses.
And Jacko looked a little bit awkward going through there too, but they're all safely over and on to the interspace.
You notice back at the noughts and crosses, Slope Hollow had a look at it. Barry tickled him up. A very, very strong man indeed.
Yes, yes. Not many horses stop with Barry on board.
Tremendously powerful legs and arms.
You can see that now those horses are really having to work going through the water, and the surface in the water is it's not sandy, so they can't go too fast. It's a little bit rocky and a little bit uneven, so they have to be careful.
At Slope Hollow, Metal Detector and Jacko making their way up over obstacle 11 and 12, the very tiring obstacles uphill. Now obstacle 13, the hunting panel with the ditch in front, as we get a side-on view of that one.
On now up to the hanging rail in the trees. Quite a long open gallop there for these horses.
A couple of obstacles here. I feel that these riders can possibly let their horses out a little bit, Rosemary. Particularly the next one, but they've decided to let them have a good look at it. That's Slope Hollow. He makes his way down to the logs, the pile of logs into the trees, and come out through the cross rails.
It'll be interesting to see if these riders have learnt something from last year. Last year, Barry Roycroft had quite a nasty fall in at the crossbar by getting too close to the horse in front of him, but they're safely through. All riders safely through. And let's have a look at the time at the Lamb Creep. They are 3 minutes 19, so they're quite good time.
If they can keep this up, they'll certainly be in the money.
Yes, because they're pretty close together.
The uphill log is a good fence for these horses, and they jump that with plenty of speed.
A bit of spacing out now coming into the water jump. They don't want to be too close here in case of a fall. They want to give themselves plenty of room.
Notice the style there of Roycroft. He checked Slope Hollow back that time and then rode him on.
Safely over.
Well, this could be the new leading team in the competition, because the time looks very promising. There's one to go and they're still under 4 minutes.
Also, Tim, the fastest individual round could be up for the takings here.
And that might belong to Barry Roycroft, although he's being hard pushed by Peter Young. A virtuoso performance by Baz's band, 3 minutes 59.62 seconds, 23 seconds inside the previous fastest in the event. So Team 12, Baz's band at this stage, very much the team to beat. And Barry Roycroft's individual time of 3:58.9 gives him the fastest time recorded by an individual thus far. And in fact, he's about 8 seconds better than the previous best. Now, team number 13, 3B Arabs, Kushla, Sean Murphy in red, Ennerdale Wombat, Catherine Lucock in white, and Don Juan, Rodney Simons in blue. And Rosemary, what does the B stand for?
I don't know. I could well imagine, but I'm not willing to say. Arabian horses are well known for their intelligence, and particularly in their desire in some instances to use their intelligence to get out of doing something rather than to cooperate.
Belligerent.
Belligerent, I'd say that could well be.
I think you might be spot on there, Tim. One thing Arabs do have, as we all know, is great stamina. Whether they can perform against the English thoroughbred on a course like this is yet to be seen, but there's been many successful Arabs run around this course, Rosemary.
Yes, they certainly have.
Particularly Anglo-Arabs.
These horses are, in fact, part bred and Anglo-Arabs.
An Anglo-Arab is one that's part thoroughbred, is bred with Arabian horses.
Yes, makes an excellent is an excellent combination for a pony club horse or a venter horse, or in fact any field of this horse sport.
That's Makushla approaching the picnic table where the dummies are having lunch. An unnatural obstacle for a lot of horses, but so far there's been very few problems at obstacle 4. Flapping of the tablecloth, you'd think on many occasions, would cause a horse to have a look and stop.
Typical characteristic of the Arabian horse is a high carriage of the tail and a particularly pretty face, and these three horses all show those characteristics. You can see the high tail carriage, particularly of the third horse.
Well, so far, this combination without penalties. Makushla coming to the box parallel. Jumped that very well indeed. So too did the second horse, Enadale Wombat. And Don Juan is still bringing up the rear. They decide to apex alongside the cypress pine, the easiest way out of that particular obstacle.
They're all looking very honest, these horses, Randall. They're
very well educated horses.
Boldly into their fences, and they're listening to their riders.
Well, I'd say they'd be up against time. But who's to say that Baz's band at 3:59, I think, is going to be very difficult to beat.
Yes, and at this stage of the proceedings, any team getting around clear, all three horses and riders getting around clear, they're certainly in a chance.
Now, the Arabs are a lot smaller than the big thoroughbreds. You'll notice now that the water's almost touching the underside of their tummies. Keeping their spacing very well too, Rose.
Yes, they are. Riding very, very well, these three riders.
I like this one, Makushla. I think it's a lovely type of Anglo Arab.
Very attractive, aren't they? The Arab horse in himself presents himself very well. A lot of presence.
They've got a hunting fence with a ditch in front, and so far they're penalty free. And now they have a long pull up the hill to jump the hanging rail and the pine trees, which is obstacle 14. They've passed the halfway mark. Now they run round to obstacle 15, the log and rail, which is on an angle. They have to swing around and come in straight on that particular obstacle, otherwise they run the risk of a refusal. Now it's slightly downhill to 16, the log pile into the trees, and they come out through the crossbar and the boxthorn hedge. They clip that one, Makushla, and that is, the cross rail is made of 2 railway sleepers.
And this horse is over at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, so he's quite a good bit slower than Slow Polo and Barry Roycroft.
Now it's the uphill log. Shouldn't be any problems there. Now the testing time with 3 obstacles to go. A good jump at the water jump. And a very good leap over the water jump by Makushla.
That's
She's definitely in the running for the fastest individual round for a lady. She can't beat Barry Roycroft's round.
4:11, I think, is the fastest time by
yes, and it's
lady so
4
far.
minutes 5. She's got 1 obstacle to go. She has to tickle him up. She only knew the time. And I don't think she's going to make it.
Just failing by a few seconds, and they come in pretty close together.
Yes.
Good round.
Good, excellent round. I think that could well put them into second place at this stage.
Well, it's Corinne Morton on Ziggy that recorded 4 minutes 11 seconds.
There are the 3 unofficial times there, and provided there aren't any penalties, that certainly would be the second best round thus far. And 3B Arabs recording a B good time, 4 minutes 16.16 seconds, and that's the second best team time so far. Now, Team 14, 3 of a kind. Squire Ben, ridden by Heather Taylor in red, Bay City, Eric Musgrove in white, and Tullite, Melinda Williams in blue.
It's a very, very, very big horse in the middle here. Randall is Squire Ben, or no, I beg your pardon, Bay City.
This is the mount of Eric Musgrove, which we've been looking forward to this ride in particular. Eric is one of Australia's top show jumpers and rated very highly in the world as one of the world's top leading show jump riders. Though I believe in his earlier years he did quite a lot of cross country, and of course in recent years as well he's been very successful at training steeplechases.
They're going very fast into this sunken road, up and out.
All 3 riders decide to jump into the ditch and out. He is a big horse basically. Must be almost 17 hands. Big long stride, thoroughbred horse. I think Eric's possibly going to take the lead here. Yes, we see here that Bay City is 17-1. That's a very large horse indeed. I would think if the horse performs well today, he may have plans for this horse as a steeplechaser.
Yes, Eric has very successfully trained the steeplechaser Don Ruin. Of course, was very successful last racing season and also this year.
He's absolutely fearless rider, Musgrove. You see the way they come in through the stockyards that time, riding as a pair. But I think it's best for this team to let Musgrove get out in front a little bit, to show them the way.
Jumping exceptionally well. With a little bit of extra pace, these horses are standing right off the fences and really letting fly at them.
Musgrove there, that's the show jumping skills coming out. He took the shortest way home, and now he's 3 lengths in front of Heather Taylor. She's having a few problems holding that horse, Rosemary.
Yes, she is. He's pulling very hard. He's a big, strong horse too, Randall. He's a crossbred horse, and he certainly can pull. But I don't think once he's come through the water and up the hill, he'll be giving her a bit of an easier ride, I think.
Let's see, of course, with Bay City being 17 hands. Well, you can see how the depth of the water there has increased in the last half an hour. There should be some spills down there later on in the day, Rosemary, by about 3 o'clock.
Yes, the water's going to be very, very high by then.
Now they come up the hill to obstacle 11 and 12. This is a trying time for the horses. And now it's Heather Taylor causing some problems for Musgrove.
This team is bunching together more than any of the other teams have done. Now, whether they feel that these two horses compete better against each other, racing at the fences, this often happens with horses going neck and neck. They encourage each other. Perhaps they're hoping to obtain a better time this way.
Well, we see that Bay City has certainly slowed down. Whether the uphill climb has taken a little bit of his energy away.
Yes, they've changed now from Bay City leading the team to Tullite and Melinda Williams now showing the way.
Well, they're clear now. They come down to the fallen logs and disappear into the trees and come out through the cross rails at obstacle number 16 and 17. Now, this is the trying time. Up over the Lamb Creep and the uphill log onto
and
the
Eric
jump.
Musgrove has fallen with Bay City. His horse clipped the top of that fence. Melinda was at the Lamb Creep at 3 minutes 19, so she's making excellent time.
I did mention earlier, Rosemary, about the cross rails. It brought a number of competitors undone last year.
Yes,
and this year the cross rails are 2 solid railway sleepers. So if you clip those, you come down.
Last year the fence was built with treated pine and certainly was not as solid as it is this year, and in fact the fence had to be repaired twice last year.
In actual fact, it's a far safer obstacle this year, being built out of more solid timber.
That's right. A horse will look at a solid fence and make sure that he clears it, where if it's looking a little bit light and flimsy, he'll try to push through it. And Melinda Williams now coming up to the finish.
Fastest individual time by a woman so far, 4:11, and it looks as if she's beaten that well and truly. Eric Musgrove back on board on Bay City. So the team time will have taken something of a hammering because of his fall at the cross rail, but will still be quite a good time and certainly success for this team in that Melinda Williams on Tullite unofficially is the fastest woman around the course we've seen today.
Well, that really is an excellent round from that young lady rider. Eric Musgrove on the Big Bay City now. He had a look at that one, but the pure skill and experience of Musgrove has got this horse round the course. He's very green, and he's a very large horse. Some of these big horses take many years to mature. A horse that probably at 8 or 9 years of age, but have a lot more skill in there. We see him come to grief. He was very tired coming up that hill. The Tiger Trap is in your program. It's a good solid obstacle. Let's hope the horse is all right. I think he's just fatigued. He lost his footing when he's okay.
One jump to go. And one Bay City will be a happy horse when this journey's complete. Three of a kinds. Team time 7 minutes 23.95, and success and failure there with Eric Musgrove on Bay City failing to complete the course. But Melinda Williams on Tullite, the fastest woman around the course today. Her official time 4 minutes 5.2 seconds. So something like 6 seconds inside the previous best by a female rider. Hash and Kai, Graham Minter in red, Timothy ridden by Stephen Guthrie in white, and My Lancer Les Bunning in blue. We've been joined by Graham Barker, and Graham, 3 minutes 59.62 to beat for the remaining 7 teams. Can it be done?
Yes, I think it can, but they're really going to have to work hard.
In this team we have two very experienced show jumping riders. We have Stephen Guthrie riding Timothy and also Les Bunning riding My Lancer. Both very accomplished show jumping riders, but let's see how they fare going cross country, which is a totally different type of event. Here they're moving on between the fences. Show jumping is a much slower, more precise type of event.
It's Hash and Kai, Graham Minter, the rider in the red top.
Leading, and then we have Stephen Guthrie on Timothy, following on, and Les Bunning and My Lancer bringing up the rear. My Lancer doesn't think too much of those store dummies. He's gone on and elected to bypass the fence.
All very awkwardly by Hash and Kai over the big tank.
And also by Timothy. Timothy, in fact, landed on top of the tanks with his hind legs and banked the tanks. Hear the comments from the riders there, woo, woo, woo. He's obviously thinking his horse is moving on too much and trying to use his voice to steady his horse through the stockade. Huge leap there by Timothy through the box parallel. And safely over the zigzag.
And now into the noughts and crosses.
He's elected to go through the centre. That's a bounce through the centre. And on down to the interspace. And there we see Timothy. No, I beg your pardon, it is My Lancer going on through the noughts and crosses and to the interspace. He's having second thoughts about that. He's climbed up and over. And through the water now we can really see the tide has come in and these horses have a good depth of water to cover now. That's an excellent
Whoa, just have a look at
mine. Now look at My Lancer. He's thinking he's going to go out and swim.
A very anxious moment there for Les Bunning. If that horse had have kept going, he could have been in all sorts of problems.
Yes, could have finished up in Melbourne in a few hours, I think.
And a few extra pounds or kilograms added to the weight of the rider that the horses now have to carry.
And we go back and catch up with Stephen Guthrie on Timothy, leading Graham Minter and Hash and Kai. They are safely over the hunting panel and moving on to the hanging log. Over the hanging log and then onto the log and rails. This horse in front jumping very, very well. We go back to My Lancer, and he's through the hanging rail and over the log and rails. He's quite a distance behind here, and the lead horse is at the Lamb Creep at 3 minutes 26, so they're certainly in contention for a place, but not for the winning time at this stage. And
close.
Very, very close there.
Whoa, he's gone.
And
Stephen Guthrie.
Timothy and Stephen Guthrie have fallen in the water, but Stephen will be on very, very smartly to continue the course. In the meantime, Hash and Kai safely over the water and coming on to the tiger trap. And we go back to see Les Bunning and My Lancer. He's safely over the water and coming up to the tiger trap. Hashan Kai, a bit shaky over the last fence, and he'll be thankful to get to the finish flags. And Stephen Guthrie certainly didn't lose too much time by that fall. And Les Bunning also now riding onto the finish. That was quite a good run by the Midnight Cowboys.
Midnight Cowboys with a time of 4 minutes 28.75 seconds, and that's not quite good enough to fill a placing at this stage of proceedings. Two teams remaining, and both very powerful ones indeed. The Australian team, number 21, in red is Clark Roycroft on board Granby. In white is John Daffy on Colorado, and Barry Roycroft, who earlier today recorded the fastest individual time of just under 4 minutes, is in blue on Last Tango.
Well, the two Roycroft boys, both Olympians, have represented Australia in the Olympic Games, and a very experienced team. John Daffy, one of our top show jumping riders.
And John and Barry Roycroft, of course, were in Baz's band, which at the moment leads in the team's competition. The one difference here is that Clark Roycroft is the third rider. Peter Young rode in Baz's band.
At this stage, it's Clark Roycroft out in the lead. John Daffy and Barry Roycroft. Barry chose to go up on top of the bank, and they're really starting to pick up some speed now as they go across the side of the hill. Still Clark Roycroft out in front. A very short turn round onto the picnic table, cutting off as much ground as he can, jumps it at an angle. So all three horses safely over obstacle number 4 and really striding along. Clark and Granby approaching the big tank. John Daffy safely over, and so is Barry Roycroft. Into the stockade. There's enough room in here for one stride of the horse. And all riders safely through the stockade. Quite a long gallop now across to the box parallel. Very big, high and wide fence, and this team staying close together, although Barry Roycroft checked back hard then and lost a little bit of ground into the apex or the optional zigzag. The first two have chosen to take the option into the noughts and crosses. Clark Roycroft, the single rails with a pop in between. John Daffy also took the same line to fence number 10, the drop out into space. And these two horses going very quickly and very well.
Yes, this team looks very, very professional. Into the water now, they're fairly close together. Into the water. It really is deep now.
And Barry Roycroft now picked up quite a bit of ground. He was falling behind just a little, but he's picked up a considerable amount of ground on the other riders and is not far behind.
Now we pick up Clark coming up over the log on the hill, and also John Daffy safely over and moving on to the hunting panel with the ditch. As we know, this has got a ditch in front of it, but these horses certainly are not spooking at this fence. They're bowling along very, very well.
Yeah, there's Barry Roycroft now. And he's really trying to make up some ground. He's really flying. Clark and John keeping very close together over obstacles 14 and 15, and there's Barry just over obstacle 14. Safely over 15 as they stride down the hill towards the log pile and then the crossbars. Over the log pile. Safely over the crossbar for both Clark Roycroft and John Daffy.
There's the time,
and
3:20 is good.
3:20 is good. So this team making very, very good time, and they've bunched up together now. They're certainly finishing this on a good note.
First two over 19 as their third rider. Barry Roycroft comes into 19, into the water. Granby had a bit of a look at it, but jumped well out over the water. as does John Daffy on Colorado, and here's Barry Roycroft. He checked back.
Oh, hit that fence, but he's safely over.
3:59 to beat for, 3:58.9 to beat for individual honours here for Clark Roycroft.
Looks
to beat
if,
Barry.
yes.
And he may have done it by the narrowest of margins. A very interesting situation here.
Yes,
That's an unofficial time, but Barry Roycroft's standard up until now was 3:58.9, so it looks as if he may have just failed.
Just
in fact.
failed.
There's the official time for the Australian team, 4 minutes 3.17 seconds, which gives them second place quite clearly, but they fail by just under 4 seconds to beat the time set by Baz's band earlier in the day, and that's still the outstanding time, 3:59.62. The very last team, certainly not least, the Trent Nathan team, and this team under a different name, Taz Vicks in fact, won the event last year. Fernando, ridden by Vern Poke in red, Jeopardy, the rider Jenny Smith in white, and It's a Worry, Michael McKay in blue. 3 minutes 59.62 to beat, and they're off.
Right, we have Vern Poke leading this team on Fernando. Be interesting to see. They'll really be putting the pace on and trying to take this event out for the second year. Right, they've elected to go up over this bank, and Michael McKay has gone down through the sunken road, through the compulsory flags, and now moving on to the picnic table. Michael McKay, the third member of this team, is a young pony club rider on a horse which was used for show jumping up until early last year, and he's now competing very successfully in pony club events. That's bad luck. We've had a runoff by two riders there, just both riders moving on too fast and bypassing the fence.
Well, that's really going to make it hard to pick up those 30 seconds that were lost.
That's right. Now got in the lead Michael McKay. He's hanging back a little bit, waiting for the team leader Vern Poke, hoping and sure that he's going to take the lead. Michael McKay has fallen. He's okay. He's under the fence, and It's a Worry is now galloping on riderless.
Well, that was really bad luck because he didn't fall because of the horse jumping badly. He actually hit his head on a limb.
On a branch,
Really
yes.
bad luck.
This horse, It's a Worry, he was just getting a little bit strong for Michael, and I think he had lost control of the situation coming into that stockade. Now, Vern, we listen to him here. He's checking his horse back, steady, steady, steady. And we've had a nasty fall there. Jenny Smith and Jeopardy got in too close to the second part of that fence, and they've had a fall, but they look as if they're both okay.
Well, let's put paid to the chances of the defending champions.
It certainly has, but let's look at Vern now. He could well be in the running still for the fastest round of the day. Michael's sitting up. He looks as if he's reasonably okay, a bit stunned, I think.
He copped two very nasty cracks. I think firstly he hit his head on the tree and then also hit it as he came down
As he fell.
the obstacle.
Right, and back to Vern now on Fernando, up over the log on the slope and onto the tyres. This horse really looks fit.
Well, Vern Poke would certainly know how to get a horse fit. He's one of our top three-day event competitors.
Hit that fence fairly hard. Riding on now to the hanging rail. Vern must be wondering what on earth's happened to his two teammates.
Well, they're very concerned because
Right, we've got Jenny Smith, she's on board again, and Jeopardy moving into the water. Vern Poke over the log and rails and striding on. This horse is still going very, very, very strongly. Right, and he's approaching the Lamb Creep now. His time at the Lamb Creep is 3 minutes 24 seconds, which is still a good time, but I don't think fast enough to beat Barry Roycroft's time of 3 minutes 58.9 for the entire course. Vern's really riding on. jump over the water. Minutes 50. Let's see if Vern can make it for the fastest round. Safely over the tiger trap and riding on to the hay bales. And no, he's just going to miss out. But an excellent round by Vern Poke and Fernando. And we'll go back to catch up with his teammates.
Well, here's Jenny Smith. Safety over 14. And there's Michael McKay being tended to by our St John's ambulance.
Right, and we pick up Jenny and Jeopardy. This horse jumping much, much better now. This horse is still looking full of running, Graham. He's
yes,
obviously pretty fit.
Certainly is, particularly after taking such a heavy fall.
Yes.
Now comes into the water. Jumps it nicely, pegged just a little bit on landing. And now these two fences coming up the hill. Jenny still riding on quite vigorously over the second last. Comes into the last, puts in a short stride, but jumps it safely and sprints off up the hill towards the finishing line.
Very good recovery by Jenny. And I think we'll go down and, yes, there's Michael. He's looking as if he's reasonably okay. Yes, we're looking, he's smiling. Things can't be too bad.
He's looking better than I thought he'd look when I heard his head hit that tree.
But I think also, Tim, it may have been the horse hitting the fence at the same time, because he screwed sidewards as he went over that fence and hit it quite heavily too.
Well, just emphasise how important it is for not only these riders but younger riders to wear safety helmets at all times.
The Trent Nathan team, a time of 7 minutes 3.9 seconds. The team that last year won the event, this year records the second slowest time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to no one who needs introducing in Owen Jones, Australia's own world-famous racing car driver, here today to present the prizes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me very great pleasure this afternoon, on behalf of Saab Cars, to present these cheques to the successful competitors.
And the first prize, ladies and gentlemen, has been won by that incredible team, Baz's Band, with Barry Roycroft, John Daffy and Peter Young, with a winning time of 3 minutes 59.62 seconds. Yes, we have for first prize the Perpetual Trophy. We have the Saab cheque for $4,500 for the winning time of 3 minutes 59.62 seconds. I think whilst we got Barry here, Barry also won the prize for the fastest individual time, so not only did he do well in the team's effort, Barry has won the prize for the fastest individual time, and we are pleased to present him with a Saab cheque for $400.
Bill Roycroft, you must be a proud man, having seen son Barry and Clark do so well today.
Yes, I am. You know, when you get old, and I've given up competition myself, and it's great to have a couple of sons to follow, you know.
The course that they performed on today, what do you think of it? Would you like to be out there?
Yes, I would. I'd definitely like to be if I was young enough. Now, I walked that course. I walked that course this morning, and I think it was a very fair course, nothing that would hurt a horse. And that's what it's all about, you know. You put up something that frightens the rider and doesn't hurt the horse.
Well, speaking of hurting horses, it's a contentious issue at the moment. What's your reaction to people or to opposition to jumping events?
Well, you know, there's a risk in everything you take on, you know. If you're playing polo, if you're a show jump rider, even mustering stock, there's an element of risk. And nobody wants to hurt a horse. Nobody at all wants to hurt a horse, but there isn't always a risk. To me, it's better to take this risk and have a horse sent off to a knackery, because if they can't do something like this, they're not fast enough to race. You use them as a show jumper, a steeplechaser, or something that we've had here today, cross-country riding. And to me, it's not cruelty, because that particular horse is terribly well looked after. You know, he's fed up to he's a very fit horse, very well looked after. If he's not, well, you know, there's the alternative is that he has his head chopped off to go into pet food or something like that. I've done a lot of it over the years, you know, since I was a young fella, and I've never yet hurt a horse like that. And yet I've had several horses just running in a paddock, been kicked by another horse and have to be put down. So, as I say, there is an element of risk, of course, but nobody wants to hurt the horse, and in most cases you don't hurt the horse.
Are there ways of keeping the element of risk to a minimum?
Yes, I suppose there is. That you see that riders that are not well versed in this sort of thing, you don't let them start, or if they do start and they are cruel to a horse, they're summons, they're not allowed to compete again. We are going to this thoroughly. I've just been overseas on more or less on this sort of thing, and national federations and the rider themselves, they can be stood out for life if there's any cruelty to a horse or exhausting a horse. We are, taking more care of horses today than what we did in the days gone by.
Finally, what's Australia's position in the world of equestrian sports in the early 1980s?
Well, we've competed well in times gone by, and I think we will be well up with the rest of the world, from now on. Can't see that we won't be. We have teams overseas now competing very well, and we will be sending an individual to the World Championships 3-day event-wise, and of course it leads up to Los Angeles 1984.
Well, can we expect feats like yours in Rome 1960?
Why not? Why not?